Hello and welcome to the channel. Yesterday I made a video in which I was disassembling this PS3 Phat, and there was a problem with the Blu-ray drive, and I never opened one before, and I just used the B camera over here looking down. And when I took it apart, I found out that there's at least two different models of the PS3 Phat, and the videos that I watched on YouTube in order to take this one apart were a different model, and I'm assuming that the guys on YouTube had the first model of the PlayStation 3 Phat, and this model has been modified and I would say cheapened. So I'm gonna put myself out on a limb here and say that this model is a newer modified model. So the problem with this unit, the Blu-ray drive, is that somebody gave my friend this PS3, and as when he went to put a disc into it, it wouldn't take the disc inside. So he gave it to me to work on, and when I plugged it in, unfortunately I didn't film it, but when I plugged it in, I went to put a disc in, and what it did was it took the disc in part way, and then the disc stopped. And then I took the disc out again, or ejected the disc, and then I put it back in, and then it wouldn't come in at all. So I tried that a few more times, and it wouldn't take the drive in, or it wouldn't take the disc in. So I did some research on YouTube, watched 2 videos, and was finally able to discover, after taking this one apart, that the problem is there's a flaw in the Blu-ray drive, where there's a little lever or a little peg, a plastic peg, that is part of the loading mechanism, and it moves in a track, in a channel inside the drive, and for some reason that peg comes out of the channel. And whether or not that's because there's a flaw in the design, or whether people are too rough when they go to put the discs in, I don't know. It's all surmisation at this point. So because this pin comes out of the channel, what you need to do is open up the drive and adjust the pin so that when you close the drive, the pin goes back into the channel, and then the drive will begin to function properly. The loading mechanism will function properly. So I did all that yesterday, and I recorded it, but the camera stopped recording because the battery ran out, and I also had some logistical problems with the disassembly. So I decided to reshoot it today. Not starting from scratch exactly, because as you can see the PS3 is open. But what I'll do is I'll cut the 2 videos together, the footage from the 2 different days. I'll cut it together and try and make a coherent video about it. But what I want to do today, I already put it back together, and I kind of don't want to take it apart again, but in order to show what I'm talking about with the peg, I thought, okay, well, I better take it apart again. So let's get on with it. On this newer model of the PS3, I don't know what the different models are called. I know Xbox over their product line, they're different generations, they've made different models of the same console, and so I can see that Sony has done the same thing. Well, obviously they have the slim version of the PS3 and then the super slim version. So these companies always refine their products, and then they release newer revisions of it. So on this particular model, the power supply has to come out in order, like before you take out the DVD drive, because they changed how the ribbon cable connects to the drive and to the motherboard, And on this particular drive, you can't just flip up the drive and unplug the ribbon cable from the bottom of the drive because they've changed the design. So what you need to do is remove the power supply and unplug the drive cable from the motherboard. Then you can remove the drive. So I'm going to get on with that particular part. Now I have the screws out of the power supply and the drive. So all I'm going to do is unplug the power supply again and remove it. Now, once you take the 4 screws out, 2 on the sides, 1 on either end, there is a plug, so the power supply plugs into 2 prongs that are sticking up from the console. So you have to lift the power supply up, lift it straight up. And then there, you can see the prongs here. Here's the 2 prongs, and here's where they plug into on the power supply. So you remove the power supply, and then here is the connector for the DVD drive. Oh, you have to unplug the DVD drive if you haven't done that already, just here on the side. And then you lift up the lever on the connector to the DVD drive. Lift up the lever, grab the tab on the ribbon cable, pull the cable out, and then you're free. You're free and clear. Now normally this would have a metal cover on it that looks like that. I already took mine off, and I took the 2 screws out of the drive, so I can just open this up right now, and then I'll show you what's going on inside. Hopefully I can get this back together properly. Now, there's got to be a trick to this, to putting it back together and getting the pegs in the right place, but I don't know what it is. And from what I watched on YouTube, nobody else seems to know. So, looking at the top of the drive, we have 2 screws to remove. There'd be 1 here and 1 here. You unscrew those 2 screws, and then on either side right here there's a tab, and on this side there's a tab in the same place. And what you do is you just pry those tabs apart from the bottom. Just pry them out a little bit. They're not very stiff. And then you can lift off the top of the drive. Now, as I flip this over, the spindle thingy fell off, you can see, let me show you this part first. Okay, so right here is the channel that I'm talking about. Right here. And this pin, which one is it? This pin right here, hopefully you can see that. This pin, this little lever moves back and forth, and you can see that it's got a pin on it, a plastic pin. Now this pin has to go into this channel. So what you do is, as you're closing it up, you have to make sure that that pin goes into the channel. Otherwise, the loading mechanism won't function properly, and it won't either it won't pull the disc all the way in, or it'll pull the disc in but it won't start spinning because the mechanism thinks that the disc isn't in the right place. So what you do is you line up the one connector for the top. So you line up this connector over here, and then as you close the top of the drive, you have to make sure that this pin, I don't know if the camera can see it, this pin right here has to go into this channel. So it's a bit fiddly, and I'm sure there's got to be a better way to do this, but all I can tell you is you just do the best you can. And then you close it back up, and then hope you got it in the right place, and then we reassemble everything. Now what I'm going to do now is I'm going to put this plug everything back in so that I can make sure that I got the pin in the right place. And I'm actually not sure how you determine whether you got the thing in the right place or not. I have no idea. All I can do is put it back together, plug everything back in again, and then plug it in and see if I got it in the right place or not. That's all I can do. So make sure the lever is up on the ribbon cable connector. Insert the ribbon cable underneath the two white plastic tabs so that the ribbon cable goes in to the connector properly. Push it in all the way using the little black plastic tab. Push in the ribbon cable all the way and then push the lever down. Plug in the power for the drive, which is right there. Okay. And then grab the power supply, plug it back into its connector. Plug in the power cable at the front. Plug in the power cable at the back. And that's it. Now, plug in the power, the main power. Turn the PS3 on. Make sure you've got a little light over here. Then you can touch the connectors, the touch sensors at the front here. There's two of them right here. This one on the right is the power one. You just have to touch it with your finger. And this one is the eject one to eject the drive, or to eject the disc rather. Okay, so then you grab a disc, put it in and see if it loads properly. And it does. So you know, there's the two steps. First, it pulls the disc into the drive, and then if the mechanism detects that the disc is in there properly, then it will begin to spin the disc. And you can see that my spindle holder here is spinning. So that's it. So the drive is working properly. Well, you can eject it. Eject the disc and make sure it's going to eject. And it does. And then you could put it back in and try it again if you want, just to make sure. And it works, so we're good. So now we can reassemble the unit, and then we're done. It should be functional. And this particular PS3 is extremely clean. I don't know why. Maybe it was never used or was rarely used. Because usually a unit that's this old, you know, when did the PS3 come out? Usually they're absolutely loaded with dust inside, in the fan and in the power supply and everything, but this one's very, very clean. So I did blow a little air through the power supply from one end through to the other, and then I did blow some air through the back where the vents are, and a little bit of dust came out, but not very much. So that's it. So we'll just eject the disc, and we'll reassemble the drive, and then we'll reassemble the unit, and we should be back in business. Turn it off, unplug it. Okay, now I just realized that in order to reassemble my drive, I have to take the power supply out again, which really, really bites. So we have two black screws that go one in here, one in here. That holds the top down, along with the two little clips. Two screws, flip it over. Well, actually we'll just put the top back on. Even the drive is extremely clean. I can't believe how clean this unit is. So what we want to do is flip this over, insert the drive, because there's two metal tabs, one here, one here. And you want to insert the drive under those two tabs. And then just drop the front of the drive until it goes in there flush. Just check the sides to make sure that it's even all the way along. Hopefully you can see that. And on this side too, it's even all along. Now the silver screws, the two tiny silver screws go at the back of the drive. This is the front where the disc loads. So at the back of the drive, the two silver screws go in. And the two black screws go at the front. Okay, that's the drive back together. Reinsert the drive. The power supply. Push the power supply down so that it plugs into the connector on the board. Put the 4 screws in for the power supply. I guess there's 5 screws. I was thinking there was 4 screws. Oh yeah, there's 2 at the back. And then there's 2 at this, and then there's 2 at the back here, there's 1 at the front, and there's 2 at the sides. So these 2 here, these heavier, sort of duller looking screws go in the sides. And then there's 3 other ones. 2 of them are long and 1 of them is short. And the short one goes, the 2 longer ones go on either the front and back on the taller, well, you'll see it. See right here, they're raised up. So the longer screws go there, and then at the back, just put that one in there. And then at the back, there's a spot for 2 screws. The longer one goes in the part that sticks up, and the shorter screw goes in the one that's flush with the bottom. I like to insert all the screws part way and then tighten them all down. Most people I see on YouTube don't do it that way. They just put in one screw at a time and tighten each screw down right at the beginning, or right away. But I don't like to do it that way because what that can lead to is misalignment of the other holes. So I like to insert all the screws, screw them part way down, and then you know that it's lined up as best as it can be. Okay, so the drive is back together, it's screwed down. Well, it's not screwed down, but it's plugged in. Power supply screwed down. Now I'm going to turn the PS3 on again and make sure that the disk drive is actually working properly. Now that I've reassembled it, insert a disk, takes it in, starts spinning. You can hear it spin up. Okay, so I'm going to eject it. Seems to be fine. And then I'm going to put the top back on. Okay, so we take the top cover. The front of the cover faces away from you. No, sorry, wrong way. Turn this around. This is the front of the console here, over here, where the the Blu-ray drive faces forward. Take the front of the console facing away from you, flip it upside down. You'll see these 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 tabs, 6 tabs. There's one here too, and you line those up with the right here with the front of the console. You'll see where they go, and then you rotate the top of the console downwards, and it should just sort of gently push it into place. Okay, so now we reinsert all the screws, and as I said in my video yesterday, all the screws are the same length. They're all long like this, very long, except the one, which is half the length. And that one, if the console is facing away from you, the short screw goes in the back left corner. So this one, and it's marked on my console, it's marked with an S. All the others are the same length. So you insert the screws and then screw them down. Okay, that's it for the screws, for the main screws. And then you're going to put the top cover on the console's facing away from you. On the right hand side is where the one screw, the torque screw goes, where the plug goes. So you lay the top cover on top, offset to the right slightly, and then slide it back to the left so that it goes into its place, and then you put the torque screw in. Put the torque screw into the end. Perhaps easier said than done. I'm gonna have to stand the console up, I think. Tighten the screw down, insert the plug, push it in, and then you can put the sticker back on, the warranty sticker, if you want. Once you peel it off, then it says, it comes up with void on it, which wasn't there before. And that's it. Console's back together. That's it for this video. I hope you have found the video useful if you're experiencing this same problem with the PS3 Phat. I hope you've enjoyed the video and you find it helpful, and thank you for watching.